Well, folks, if you're just joining us, you should have been here earlier because you missed. You can't call it a comeback, but you missed a heck of a game. I'm your host, Elizabeth, for Valorant Challengers Promotion Relegation, here with Roy. And again, we can't call it a comeback, but that was a literal 1-11 half flipped to an 11-13 finale. Roy, and we were sitting here, we were like, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Do you think it's going to happen? Is it happening? Is it happening? And unfortunately, one not checked corner, and that's all it takes.
Yeah, the entire time I was like, no, this can't be the way they lose their momentum. They've been on such a massive win spree. And then, of course, the 13-11 fake comeback. It has to make an appearance every best of 5. At least one of those maps, we need to have one of those fake comebacks. But after all things considered, right, this was the map pick for the Ambrosia side. This is one of their best maps. They're extremely drilled on this map, as we saw in the first half. A little bit sloppy going into the second half, obviously. But, I mean, what we saw in the first half was more in line with what we've been expecting from Ambrosia, right? A lot of utility combinations, a lot of pop-offs, Satellite getting an insane amount of value on the Yoru. Just overall, an honest masterclass going into that first half. And, of course, on the second half, it just, that's where things started to take a turn.
I mean, this is an Ambrosia that forced Maryville to take a round 3 timeout and then a round 7 timeout, to use both of their timeouts in the first half, where, frankly, it kind of worked, but kind of didn't. They started playing better, but it ended with a 1-11 not in their favor. And so this is an Ambrosia that made Maryville sweat, and then this is a Maryville that made Ambrosia sweat. And you're kind of coming down to these little things that we were seeing that were just, oh, if they had looked here, if they had the timing here, like Satellite TPing instead of getting an uphill, things like that, where it's coming down to these little micro things. Roy, you've had experience as a player. You've been on the side of an 11-1. You were telling me.
Never forget.
Never forget. What is the mental like for either side? Ambrosia, are you relieved? Are you scared? For Maryville, are you angry? Are you excited? How do you think they're feeling right now?
Yeah, I mean, if you're Ambrosia right now, honestly, you secured the dub. You're just thinking, man, oh, thank God. Like, if this was a loss, it just would have been terrible, right? Because this first map, if it was a clean first map, it would have solidified their momentum, like I was saying before. That this would have been the key piece that they've needed. It would have propelled them further into this best of 5, and it would have been a scary sight. Now they can say, oh, okay, this was a close match. We have to stay locked in. We can't get too comfortable. But on the other hand, for Maryville's side, it's almost the same thing, right? Where, like, if you get 13-1, it's a terrible look. Like, it's hard to recover from a 13-1, right? Like, yeah, you can bounce back and cope. There's a list of copes we can go with. Oh, it's their map pick, stuff. But ultimately, you want these matches to be close, even if it's not your map pick. Now there's respect. Now that it's not too much confidence from the Ambrosia side, and you have the cope of, well, if the first half went in just a little bit better, if we secured maybe a couple more rounds in that first half, that first map should have been ours. But nonetheless, we find ourselves here in this pretty interesting position.
I think Sentinels have a saying where Kaplan will ask them, what's the score? And then go 0-0, no matter what the outcome of the last map was.
Yes, and I love it.
I think either or, I mean, look, I want everyone who is watching the stream to look at the numbers. It's literally coming down to ones, difference in ones. Like, it doesn't sound like it at this point, what we're saying, but it was coming down to these little things towards the end. And, I mean, looking at the scoreboard, we have to talk about Satellite, Roy, because, I mean, my op does not do that. None of my guns do that, but my op certainly does not do that, Roy. He just played out of his mind.
Yeah, the op, the rifle, the shorty, you name it. Bro was getting kills. There's really not much else to say about it, to be honest. I mean, this is what we expect from him. This is what we've seen all season long. He's been that guy, and nothing's changed. He's continuing the story. He's a very fierce duelist. And I think the one thing I will always appreciate about Satellite is just the flexibility and the dynamicness of how he gets kills, right? He can op you, he can rifle you, he can play around smokes, he can rat with shorties, he can jump at you and TP out. Like, there's just so many looks from Satellite, and it's really this sort of dynamic, consistent level of pressure that comes from this duelist is what causes so many problems for a lot of these teams.
Do you think if Satellite were on any other duelist but Yoru without like the TP ability, do you think he would find as much success, or does the Yoru really allow him to kind of find that sort of in your face, like you're saying, like a floor play style of just go, I'll be here, you don't know where I am next?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I think we don't even have to really speculate too much on that. If you just look at his stats, like he's getting these numbers on pretty much every duelist he plays. His Jet and his Yoru are I think, in my opinion, definitely the favorites. But his Raze is not a slouch either. He's performing really well in that role as well. So when it comes to flexibility in terms of the duelist pick, he seems to be finding value in many different ways. So I think overall he's pretty well established in this structure, and it feels like it favors him heavily, right? Because they're running the double initiators. They have some very good support utility, and it seems like a lot of the kills that he's getting are part of the structure. But even when it's not, even when he's required to sort of go off script and sort of just enter the jungle of Valorant, if you will, where there's no laws, he seems to be performing well in that environment as well. So I think overall he's definitely playing a good game right now.
I mean, no matter what happens today, he's definitely a player to keep an eye on, as a really cerebral kind of duelist that you could absolutely see both in Challengers as well as Americas or any other IL. But we are done with Pearl. We say goodbye to Pearl and Broja's map pick, and we'll be going to Fracture, which is Maryville's map pick. They will be starting on the defense. This is a bit of a kind of talking about, I'm going to bring up Satellite again to you, Roy, on Fracture. This is a map where I think duelists either like they fly or they flop, because they either just can't get an entry, they can't take that space, or they are always in your face, always behind you, always there, and it is really scary to deal with. Is this a map that where a player like Satellite will shine and kind of outplay Maryville, even though it is their map pick?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point that you bring up, because there's so much utility to sift through on this map, right? On both sides. If you try to gate space when you're the Raze, you have to bypass Vice utility, you have to bypass the Sentinel utility, but you also have to bypass the breach stuns and the counter util and the flashes, and there's just so much utility with the meta compositions on this map. There's definitely like some layer of, you know, how am I going to get value? And it's probably the reason why this map sometimes doesn't favor the duelist, or it feels, you know, a little bit lopsided like you're mentioning. But ultimately, this is Maryville's best map. It's their most played map. They have the most wins on this map. They're 13-2, if I'm not mistaken, on the map. They just have so much reps and just so much level of success on this map. I'm definitely expecting this match to be much closer, at least in the first half for both of these teams. But even on the flip side, for the Ambrosia side, they're really not that bad on this map. Yeah, they haven't really had the best results, but they have reps. They're not new to the map. They're not uncomfortable on the map. They just haven't really had the results they've wanted. So I think this will be a very close game in terms of strategy, and it's really going to come down to, you know, who's feeling good, who's feeling comfortable, and of course the little micro battle between these two teams.
And we saw, especially that second half last game, like I said before, we saw it come down to very like little things. Literally the last round, Satellite just having a shorty out and Maryville not looking behind them was how that last round was not moved. That last game was not taken to an overtime. But it is so exciting that we are moving to Fracture, because again, I think it's an only H. I tried to show you an H with my hands like this. That's not how it works. Nice. An H-style map, and it is at this point, with how exciting the map will be, and I'm moving forward. I hope it'll be overtime, but after we didn't get one last time because of the fake comeback, but moving forward, we'll see. But we're gonna take a quick little break, and we will be right back, friends. you so much, everyone, for your patience. We are back with Valorant Challengers North America promotion and relegation. I love a good rhyme. I'm your host, Elizabeth, joined by Roy. We took a little bit of a break. We had a little bit of a tech issue with one of the players, but we should have that all settled, all fixed right now. But I hope you got your snacks. I hope you got your bathroom breaks. I hope you stretched. I hope you did everything, because we have Fracture coming up, Roy. And we were talking about the agent comms while we had a little bit of time. Is that going to be in the Tejo, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to find out right now, moving into agent select. It could be pretty meta or it could be not. And oh, me when I'm wrong. Roy, anything that immediately stands out to you with these agents?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to start with the Ambrosia side, because we're definitely seeing a bit of a swap for them here. I'm not totally surprised. This is a map that they haven't really, like we said, they haven't really had the results they've desired. So they're making just tiny little changes specifically to the Sentinel. They're going off the Vice, they're going into the Deadlock, which is a little bit interesting, right? Because we see the Cypher. We're not really seeing the Deadlock as much on this map. But I'm curious to see how they're going to get value. I can already picture some ways, specifically towards the B site, getting some of some of those sound sensors down. But on the other side for Maryville, I think I'm seeing changes on that side as well, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, no, they're still running the same composition. This is the true tried and tested composition for Maryville University. 13-2 on the map, looking to continue their reign, looking to claw back a second map after getting swept in the first map by the Ambrosia side, almost making the comeback in the second half. But now we're going to be seeing a bit of a closer battle here on the second map, hopefully.
Well, it is map 2 between Maryville University and Ambrosia. And as Kenny Omega says, I will bid you adieu and send it over to our casters. It is Zobi and Up9.
You good night. Bang, we have landed on map number 2 here. Fracture, Maryville. Yeah, like the Des was saying, not much of a change coming into this one. Ambrosia, we have to go a little bit deep cut with this one. Adder is coming in on Deadlock. First time he's playing Deadlock this year so far. The Tejo, who has been Adder's responsibility throughout this tournament, has now gone to Glyph. Smiley is going to stay on the Smokes. Raze on Satellite. Screwface still sticking to the Breeze. So really only 2 big changes here. It's just Adder coming away from the agent that he has been very comfortable with this last week, and Glyph needing to step up.
And I mean, also Glyph and Screwface, right? Switching, because usually it was Screwface on the Tejo here as well. So just getting him off that role completely on the Comfort of Breach. And I think this is good. Smiley, right? Comfort Agent played Smokes for a very long time with St. Clair Saints. And so it was really just recently they picked up the Deadlock and that Sentinel pick. And Screwface even said it was kind of freeing. But speaking of freeing, Adder freed from the reins of life right off the rip.
Huge kill already, and we already have a huge little mosh pit coming into the A sites. It's going to be Cloric in the middle of the site trying to pick up one, is going to be able to pick up one, and with this delay here from Wildfire, might be able to get a little bit more. Huge jump from Cloric, but Screwface is going to be there in the second angle for it. Wildfire is going to be better off saving his life here.
Ooh. Adder, nice check behind the back again, patching the holes. The Deadlock utility leaves here. Oh, gonna prove to be a threat if you can't get over it here out of Dish. I like the repositions. Again, fragmented by this wall. You can satchel over, you can't jump over. So literally 3 players, different pieces of the pie. Nice group up. Angie trying to play forward here.
All right, what's the setup here?
It's just layers and layers of post plant utility. That's what the setup is.
Beautiful. And still gonna be able to do something, and there you go. The smoke, of course, taking forever to come down, and once it comes down, that's where the waterfall of kills is going to come from, and there you go. Wonderful stuff from Maryville, keeping it clean and easy.
And that was a big concern of mine coming into this map as well. We talked about Pearl and Fracture, the differences. This comp is another one that's really, really heavy on the post plant, right? Only real change, especially since they kept the Deadlock, is instead of an Astro with the Gravwell, you get an Incendiary with the Brimstone and the Orbital Strike, which is a huge addition to this, again, get off site, player util mentality. And if that's the amount of util in a pistol, that's going to be crazier on the full rifle rounds.
You are going to see Maryville with a little bit of that mentality. They still have Incendiary. They still do have the nade in the hands of Renz. Wildfire with the same breach utility. So again, it is going to be that long-winded matchup. Yes, we can get the impact from the duelists in the early round, but these rounds are going to last forever.
Targets.
Ooh. I thought for a second on Underpass as well that Adder was going to come face to face with Ange, but gets out of dodge. Satellite, again, tip of the spear, says it goes to the duelist. You have the opening kills, but you have the support of your teammates. Flush one out, flush 2 out. And the B site, Plant going to be secured.
Spike planted.
Yeah, Ainge looking for a cheeky one there. Yeah, Maryville's just trying to get their feet wet, really, in this game. As there's, again, not much change for this team. It's starting off on the D side. It's really just some early pressure, just a couple of looks. Ambrosia still trying to settle in here on what the combinations are going to be like for Satellite alongside Screwface. Is the early round really going to be that important for Ambrosia, or are they really just going to try to grind out these post plans, just try to get into a situation where the utility is going to work? Speaking of the util, Glyph is going to be caught off with his twin Tejo's util. And Renz actually has a Vandal here.
Adder.
1-on-1 versus Adder, and he's going to stay safe here. Renz might just survive. Adder swing in the corner. No. Okay, cool.
That is dangerous in the wrong hands, or in this case, the right hands here. I mean, weapon gonna be carried over. Kind of a similar situation, third round, no matter how you spin it. It's weakened immensely the bonus opportunity here for Ambrosia. And I'm glad you re-mentioned that, okay, Maryville on the defense, because they're starting on the defense every single map in this best of 5. So we talk about, okay, early round momentum, early tempo control. Ambrosia's gonna have that it factor every one of these maps. And all right. First rifle round bonus here for Ambrosia. Will we see a similar kind of avalanche of rounds, or will we actually have a competitive start?
Let's see. Let's see if the hero's journey can be a little bit less linear for us.
Can't use that.
Satellite. Oh, okay, that's awesome.
No satchel.
No satchel for you, my friend. Satellite. It's like he went practicing trapeze. No net on the bottom for it. That's unfortunate.
He missed grabbing the rope, on the jump.
Ooh. It's like playing like American Ninja Warrior or something and just missing the bar, splat into the water. Here goes. Ambrosia reaching the deep waters themselves, and it's about to get a little bit thinner. Adder. How?
Knife.
Oh no, he's going for the frags, but it doesn't really matter. The information isn't there though. They don't know that 3 people are still on this site. Still a chance for Maryville.
Ooh, and the stun. So Giza could get the backstab. Quick thinking that from Adder. Comfortability on the deadlock shows. Barrier mesh behind. The rest of your team fights forward into the masses.
And Giza still able to take away Screwface running away. Smiley needs this frag onto Renz, but he has a teammate right behind him. Smiley knows! Could have been amazing for Smiley, but the team kill is there. The 2 former Saints, Giza taking away Smiley.
Ambrosia make a good argument, but the rebuttal from Maryville stronger. And they get their first round on the board early on. Ultimate starting to stack up for Ambrosia. The rifle round will follow. Again, that was a bonus, as competitive as it was. Showing again that, interestingly enough, I'm shocked, right, that Adder's able to slip through there, right? You talk about the differences between a Cypher and a Deadlock, and maybe showing that there's a catastrophic gap into Arcade, right? Because that's where Adder came from. So why don't you just blow it wide open with 5?
Sounds easy enough, at least for a player like Adder, right? Cheeky, confident, but might be a little bit more linear here for MU alongside potentially Ambrosia. Ambrosia all 5. Going up into tower. Ainge has been so sneaky with his frags so far. So smart. And able to get one right through the smoke. Giza striking down Satellite, but still has a lot more work to do. One shot headshot with a Vandal. And he gets it. Another huge kill from Giza. Whoa. And Ainge, a little bit of his own medicine. Glyph, what was that?
Look at this. They're not done just yet. They still know they're down a player. Smiley going exploring, could get the wrap timing onto a solo player. Wildfire tucked away generator, waiting for their teammate, waiting for the retake. The flick is good, and it's all down to Glyph.
That's 3.
Oh, certainly possible here. Glyph, plenty of time on the clock. Both players coming in from the same angle. Huge PC utility coming in from Glyph in just a little bit. Chloric and Renz now looking to step too close into B. Glyph gonna be launching the missiles, clearing out angle after angle. Would have cleared Renz, but Chloric had the 1-on-1. Maryville, there you go. We have a fight.
That was a good recognition, I'll say, from Glyph. Again, maybe the pistol tendencies coming through into the rifle rounds. They're gonna push the Ray main. They're always gonna be B main on those retakes. But again, nice weakness from Ambrosia identified over towards Arcade. We got to see the Giza sight hold and what it looks like. Again, drawing the players into your domain heaven. Aggressive trap wires on site. They get there too. That's all you can ask of a Sentinel, right? And it was just insane shots to smoke, both from Ange and from Glyph, that made this round as close as it was. But again, you mentioned coordination between the final two. Into the next round, weapons reset for Ambrosia. Kind of a mismatch then with the ult economy and where it's tracking to. But again, Arcade, they know they can get it pretty easily at the moment. Unless, not again.
Yeah, unless Ange does the business, does his little dancey dance. And instead, the only thing doing a little dancey dance right now is the drone. Doesn't do too much. As Giza floating in sight, catching both Satellite and Smiley. He's gonna get a third, almost swinging the head for a fourth. It's fun that the pistols maybe had a chance there, but it is even cooler to see Giza. And a bit of a firing range. Ange, though, is going to be the only presence here. Adder with a bit of a chance, but one-on-one here. Ange does have Flip down, and Adder is done for. 2 kills, though, coming back from Ambrosia. Not going to do too much damage to the eco of Maryville, but it's not like their economy isn't perfect. Any damage here from Ambrosia is important. It is important.
Yeah. And we highlighted one half of the St. Clair Saints puzzle with Smiley on Ambrosia, but their counterpart Giza, who had played with them for an entire academic year, is on a heater right now. 7-4, 2 rounds basically culminating in their ability to anchor the B site, to shut out Ambrosia. And Ambrosia, interestingly enough, they want to try it again. And interestingly more so, Maryville has switched the Cypher to the A site. So this aggression, Smiley going to communicate, hopefully. And they're going to find a way to counter, not before Glyph gets taken out.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Quick little haircut from Renz, as the rest of the team really doesn't know what to do. Deep smoke, back over towards B main, Arcade. These players not trying to get that early tower control, and the only player that could get tower control at this point has the spike. It's going to be a backup here from Screwface. Again, lack of information over towards A. Anybody can be making that wrap right now, but with only one person over towards A, not much of a difference. But Ange has that first contact. Raw gets the first. Still a bit of potential here for Ambrosia. The ultis and the util is still there.
And so, off angle tower, playing their life, playing for the aggressive scale up here to maybe set up a crossfire, or play off the utility of Wildfire, which should deny, any impact from this Rolling Thunder.
Oh, but Renz still getting the kill on the Screwface, and the potential was there. Joby.
And again, it was a strong start from Ambrosia, right? I like the awareness to disengage from the Arcade execution, right? Smiley waits for Satellite to join up and re-clear B main, because you don't know how many players are still there after an aggressive pop play like this from Renz and friends. And then it all just fell apart, right? Look, this moment, Satellite, dry swings, no util, no support from their team, from Screwface, and even the Brimstone. So, and then the mistimed as well. It just felt like one player after another versus it was these coordinated sight lines from Maryville holding on. So, yeah, I think a timeout's needed on multiple facets, right? Their playbook right now looks repetitive. There's maybe some breakdown in the communication. Anything else?
Get good, I guess. That's a big point of reference there for anyone trying to win a game. But no, Screwface, it's a little tough to say because all of the responsibility for initiation is kind of on him. Yes, you have a lot of support util, but in terms of the actual flash, in terms of the pop that comes out, Screwface is going to be that first facing person, is going to be the person that directly supports the player peaking. Yeah. And that's a huge responsibility. And I don't really think that's been Screwface's role as Breach, even though you would expect Breach to really do that. He's been very good at his more telegraphed util, a util that needs the lineups. But in terms of flashes, in terms of reacting, we haven't seen that much from Screwface. So this is a big challenge for him. How can he support Satellite?
I mean, even in the last round, right? When Glyph, your other kind of relinquishment, your another dish eater, was taken out first on that aggressive play. So the burden falls even more strongly in that sort of situation. But a different look finally, right? No B start, head towards drop like he did. Pistol. Fortunately, early drone catches wind of it. Drone as well from Glyph doesn't spot out the Cypher. This, though, feels like they might be waltzing into a trap. As soon as contact is made here in Dish, I expect that orbital strike, or if you see them on the cam, a name. A showstopper blows right through it.
Cool. Is this gonna be a two-piece?
Whoa.
Not even one. Not even one to go. Not even hot and ready. That stuff's stale. Here comes Glyph from behind. Glyph. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, Glyph. Land on your feet, my friend. You still have plenty of work to do. Wildfire still picking up the one, but that is a tragedy. Pure tragedy. Wildfire, crazy three-piece at the end.
Wow.
Glyph, take a breather, man. Oh
I mean, okay. You whiffed
Tough round
on the first, but it's enough damage, right, that your team is still able to crunch onto and find the first frag onto Giza. But the lack of a follow-up on the Wildfire there, maybe the fear factor again of a showstopper coming in from Renz
Happens.
that was blocked off by the deadlock wall, frankly. And it all just fell apart, like you mentioned. Heroics, a rifle. That even supercharged the Rolling Thunder now to replace the Orbital Strike you invested. So this is looking really, really clean for Maryville at the moment. So looks like Ambrosia looking to scale things up. Not any early aggression over towards B and claim that space. They're ahead of it though.
Oh no. Goodness, what is this playing from MU? Ainge shows the peak immediately. Giza, the follow-up adder, still trying to fight with him. What is this? Stop it. Now Maryville is playing with Ambrosia.
They look so comfortable here. Roy mentioning most played map, 2 losses in recent months. And that is showing why, at least on the defensive half. Giza in the zone, in his element here. I mean, still alive, even playing from main. No punishment from Ambrosia. The players splinter in this post plan. And while you got the spike down, that's all you wrote. Cloric, the 3-piece, and that's a 6th, a safety net for Maryville University reached.
Scary stuff that Ambrosia just not able to get any groundwork done in the early rounds. Again, continuously assaulting B right now. B has just been their kryptonite. They have not been able to crack through. No matter what type of look we're seeing from MU. We haven't seen a single bit of arcade pressure from Maryville, but the amount of pressure that we've seen over towards B, it's fluctuated at best, and every single time the attempt works. Ambrosia, again, doesn't just... The steps going in to the exec just isn't coming together for this team. They have the right idea, but the players just seem that one step off.
And again, there's a mismatch between the economy and the ultimates that just hasn't really developed into a concrete round either. Again, half buy, again, sweltering ultimates. I want to see a concrete plan to utilize them, because I mean, even look back to your EG of 2023, right? They were like the masters of eco round ultimates, right? So it's not impossible, even in the new meta, especially with, I would say, more exec heavy ults like the Armageddon. So look at this. Simplify things. 5 A main. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, no, this is not gonna do much. Here comes Ambrosia once again. Wildfire has that Rolling Thunder. All 5 players are gonna get hit by this. I don't know. One escapes. Yippee. Bit is completely halted. There's 4 players here for Maryville.
Yeah, I mean, at least there's no follow-up out of this day. No board pressure.
Here goes Renz, though, still able to knock down 2. Still a little bit scary here. 3v3, not out in the clear yet. Out of the open is the spike, though. They collect the spike back over towards main. Okay. Well, ulti, but the ulti's not going to do much. It's just going to allow Glyph to go for that cross. Ainge coming in, trying to exploit the smoke, but Satellite is there for the cross. 2v3.
And you didn't have info on how many were A main, how many are on site. Now you spotted 2. You heard one jumping from A main. All players' positions now confirmed. It should be all gung-ho, and that's again when the stall utility comes to rear its head, favoring Ambrosia. Messy, but the job gets done. Breaking through on a half-buy, a pseudo-eco round. To get a third, to keep Maryville University off of a guaranteed advantage before the side swap. And I mentioned utilizing those ults to convert around, and they did. Annihilation came out. Again, to try and counter after the Rolling Thunder. There you go. Renz almost cracked this round wide open, but the Stinger trades, the crossfire set up swiftly, and again, there it is, the util from the deadlock from the adder. Works out.
That first pick helps Ambrosia a whole lot, to say the very least, but finally the plans coming in for Ambrosia. Finally some closer rounds coming out from this team. Maryville, they were farming just the early frags, farming the early interactions, not allowing the retake to even formulate, but here comes Renz, needing to run all the way away. The satchel, he's gonna be fine. Ambrosia, this is literally just for control of A main. What about everything else here for Maryville? One player looking for that rotation back over towards A, but ultimately not much of a difference for Maryville.
I mean, but it feels like for Maryville, A main control is important because their B retake strategy has been a lot of the times, right? Cloric, Renz, make your way through B main, pinch the players, confine them to the site. When it's not, you know, Giza just kill on the site. So I think that's why they committed so many resources, and the fact that Ambrosia's fighting back in here is amazing. Again, Adder's utility splinters the players, forces the 1-on-5, and it's just green light go for the A side. Giza.
Oh, it's Cloric taking down Glyph. Giza not able to do much just yet, still trying to find an angle to help out his friend, but his friend goes down. Cloric's gone, Wildfire has the angle, Giza's looking for the follow-up. He's the one on the low HP, he's the one that can't take an initial bullet. 30 seconds left though,
Angie.
And we're seeing a rotation.
30 seconds left.
It's gonna be 1-on-3. Ainge, what can he do here? Guns are out, and he can't get the pick!
No way. And that punishment is huge, right? You got eyes on Giza.
Yeah.
There, I think, with some breach utility for support over in that main fight. So this should be a clear fire site, minus
incendiary.
how fast you can rotate and the Cypher util.
And that's huge. The Cypher's there. Wildfire with a different angle. And it ends up becoming a routine play for Maryville. Ambrosia does make it a little bit dramatic, but good rotation coming in from MU, even with the stim beacon.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because Pearl was a game of like neither team having maximum information, right? And it feels like here, all the reads, all the calls have been perfect from both sides, right? And sometimes it does just come down to these crunch aim battles, the trades. And Maryville University, I like this. This is showing respect towards Ambrosia. The timeout call while you have the lead, right? You're looking to be dominant, or maybe you're afraid of what Ambrosia will have in their second half on the defense. All right. Again, looking at some of those early problem rounds that set up Ambrosia for this fall, this half. Talked about the shining moments, the rounds that they have won, but again, come from concrete, coordinated duels when Maryville gives them to them. So again, War of Attrition goes towards Maryville. Pop aggressive plays goes towards Ambrosia right now. So how do you get those concrete execs?
At least coming out from Ambrosia, really, really tough to have a consistent idea because, again, Maryville switching up that defensive approach, switching up at least the aggression in the early round fairly consistently on every pull of this map. Realistically, even Dish has been pulled back and forth, and they are even thinking about a little bit of that arcade pressure. Just going to leave a camera over towards there, not that your usual position. It's usually in a position to really play that post plan to try to catch somebody off guard, but heavily focus over towards arcade just to maybe shut down an option here. Try to get that early rotation for MU.
Yeah, and I mean, low-key, they kind of did a favor to Ambrosia, giving them another timeout so they didn't have to invest both. So that gave them that plan for, what did I say, a concrete exec, but you gotta get past Giza. You have to have some sort of trade set up, or this player can usually anchor the site. Like you mentioned, Smiley, Glyph, they break through. No way.
No way.
Gap
Planning all the way out in the open and a gap in the smoke, like you said. Smiley,
Past the hole.
Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, goodness gracious. Glyph, 1v3, tragically seeing his teammates go down to gap after
Cloric.
gap after gap, and
Yeah.
Ciao, ciao.
Wow. One gap in a smoke and the entire round falls apart. And you saw them, the speed in which they fixed it, right? It was too late. Spike was down, doesn't need a sight line. They know where they have to spray. A second follows to the grave. It was a difficult situation. And now, I mean, the lead only expands. The timeout surely worked for Maryville. Not much there for Ambrosia. Minus the entry off of the showstopper. Good, made the space the players needed even with suboptimal weapons to overwhelm Giza. But it was, again, this moment. The staggered fights that went south. And now,
Oh my.
I mean, this, beautiful change in pace. The conditioning turned rampant into aggressive arcade control.
Early Rolling Thunder, and they're not going to do anything with this. Smoke in their face. Yeah. There's going to be a little drone there, but nobody cares. Gone. Wildfire. Still has that pressure over towards tower. And Giza 1-on-2. That is going to be the pick off from Glyph, but nowhere near to getting that spike down over towards A. It's all going to be on Glyph's Tejo to try to shut down A. He wants to pull in that rotation. Allowing MU now to kind of settle into things. Cutting completely a noise. Glyph looking for a 1-on-1.
They've cleared out all of A main. So you don't think they have a concern. But Cloric tucked away in sand, guided salvos to buy time for the team's rotation, which is, I think, why these players are so confident where they are. Ange, deep B main. You know, now Wildfire rotating through spawn. Cloric, do you just wait for Ange? It looks like they are. They're going to try and pinch onto Glyph.
Glyph is going to catch Ange. There you go. Beautiful.
Planted.
A Cloric, big opportunity here in a 1-on-1. Glyph is going to try to trap the one. Still a lot more work to do for Cloric to even get away from this 1-on-1. And Ambrosia.
Last round.
Oh, wait a minute. I was going to say Ambrosia closes it out, but no, sir. It's going to be 1-on-2.
Hello.
Line up here and ciao, ciao.
There you go. A little kind of jump the gun on the Armageddon. You're like, half's over. Let's secure the round. That gave a glimmer of hope to Wildfire. A spark that never ignited. Is the high-low to patch things up. 8-4, not a bad turnaround, right? I think timeout, like I said, from Maryville gave Ambrosia a little bit of leniency there to pivot. Make some plans off of. I really did like, and hats off to whoever came up with the Maryville strapbook there, the consistent conditioning of leaving Arcade open to then suddenly having Rens injected their double satchel and all. Like, it clearly caught Ambrosia off surprise, but they were able to find their footing real quick.
Great reactions coming out from the rest of Ambrosia. But you also have to give that up to the fact that MU, they were pressuring these players super back into Arcade. They still had more than enough time or more than enough space to be able to kind of get into the right positioning to react to MU. And now we're back on the attacking side here for MU. MU attacking that B side for now. Whole lot of coverage from the Deadlock. Deadlock going for a raw pick here. Jiggle peek. Only gets tagged away. Doesn't actually get tagged, excuse me. But it's spotted. Big work here from the Brimstone in the middle of sight. Smiley. And the one-on-one against Giza. He's letting Giza go through. Giza!
What?
He's gonna take down Adder! Did Smiley even see him? What on earth was that from Giza?
We thought their Sentinel days were over. We swapped onto the attack. But no, they single-handedly entry while Rens is netted in heaven dealing with Adder. And now a 2v4. At least it's Satellite in Screwface, the duo that should be coordinated, but they're on opposite sides of the map at this point. And one head has been taken off. And it's all down to Satellite. Sky smoke in their face. Chloric repositioning, not even giving them light of day. I'm wondering if that cam even spotted them in this position when he scaled up. It sure has now. Spy cam dart on all. And the players not even giving him the light of day. A single fight here until absolutely necessary.
So safe for just
Giza wants the clip, bro.
No, he absolutely does. Satellite wants to clip. Nice little headshot. But yeah, Giza's there. You're not going to be able to get the shot. Good stuff, Giza. If we, hey, listen. If Giza did have the full clip, you know, if the perspective was on him, fairs. Gets denied though at the very end. But what a weird opportunity for Giza to even get.
And I mean, no, I will say, Giza, it was more than just searching for the clip, right? They are more than halfway to their neural theft now after the pistol round.
Yeah.
And talking about differences in these compositions, that's going to be a huge information boost to pivot off of on your attack. Because again, we mentioned how important information for these two teams has been comparing Pearl now to Fracture. And this is a hefty buy. 2 rifles, 2 bulldogs. This screams confidence and screams, we may have come back from an 11-1 half almost, but you sure aren't from an 8-4. And I think they definitely have the possibility to do it here on their map pick.
And to say the least, yeah, Maryville, team that's winning, solid chance to take the W here as Ambrosia. Team losing, pretty bad chances of taking this W. All 5 players over towards A though. Hey, if Maryville goes over towards A, 80% chance something fun happens. So
is it gonna be? It's another one. It's another one. I was about to say, is this gonna happen again? They're all dying to the Tejo. There it is. That's so funny. Whenever the gamble fails, they just all succumb to the guided salvos. Like it's again smart, especially when you have this many aggro comp ultimates from Maryville. But the fact that now they're 2-0 or 0-2 on those guesses is gotta be heartbreaking.
Unfortunate here for Ambrosia, but Maryville. Again, the clean rounds coming up from them on the last 2. Ambrosia, they have their even setup now. What is the early shock? Do they have an early shock to give? And they do. It's going to be the race up close and personal over towards Arcade, and it's actually going to be basically full coverage here of Arcade. 3 players here. Satellite's going to be safe. Nobody's popping through.
No,
just going to be the drone. No, you'd sell. Adder on his lonesome. He's going to have a second one to maybe pop out. And Adder.
Oh,
no way.
No!
He's fine. No, but look at the rotation. MU. Gonna be crashing into the A site now. Glyph setting up.
Adder has to win this fight.
Glyph.
Now they're gonna get overwhelmed.
Nah, Ren still comes around and takes away Glyph. And like you said, Adder's not gonna be able to take away that 1v1. It all came down to the player in the middle of sights. Glyph, no mileage. Ambrosia might be on the verge here of a save, but 4v3 might as well give it a good shot. Lots of util to give, and they already strike out with a big kill, but Satellite, he had more than enough time to get that kill onto Renz, but Renz still gets a kill before he goes down. Satellite in a 1v1 and goes down to Wildfire, and it's all she wrote.
Yeah, another mistiming on the flash. Screwface going for the save. Because at this point, right, 11-4, it's going to be confirmed map point for Maryville on your eco, so do what you can with the hero rifle if you can even hold on to it. And was playing so far off site for their utility for the post plant. Comes back. And they were the one that opened up again the A split as well. Overwhelming, pinging down Adder, ultimately winning the fight. Very, very clean, seeing both slow and quick executions. And yep, Ambrosia toying with the idea of a force needs this timeout.
Last big moment here for Ambrosia. For this map, really, again, if they are trying to go for that forest. But MU, it's tough to really say that there's a real key here for Ambrosia in these early rounds. They had a decent idea over towards Arcade, or at least they had the gamble over towards Arcade, but very good early discipline from MU. They have more than enough lines of sight on the rest of the map for them to try to find some sort of backup. It's what happened in the last round with A main. It's what happened in the round before that over towards Dish. And MU, again, just kind of controlling the pace. What can Ambrosia do at this point to kind of switch that up?
Ooh, what can Ambrosia do? I'm trying to think. I think they need a plan B, because right now, players like Chloric, who've flown under the radar, are having huge impact clipping the wings, kind of cutting off the strings, the resource flow to a lot of these strategies. I mean, twice we've seen an execution and a counterplay go south because of that stealth drone, right? If you think about Satellite, right? One satchel falls out of the sky, the nade to try and corral the players, maybe even do some chip damage initially over towards Arcade, both falter. So again, we talked about how fast they were to pivot over on Pearl. That quality is just not here. And that's what I need to see, is the quick mid-round calls.
Ambrosia with the early idea. They're going to have to react like you said. No line of sight over towards B. It might be a bit of a shock here. Renz on the front side. Where's the smoke? Where's the cross? There is none. Renz just gets a free frag. Is it going to be a one-on-one between him and Smiley? Doesn't even matter. Smoke in the front side. And that's going to deny any sort of trade potential here for Ambrosia. Not all of it, of course. Screwface still bouncing in a couple of bullets through the smoke, but that's just going to leave MU reset on a man advantage. They used no util there to even get that kill. It's just try again.
Take their picks, and they are happy with the spoils. They're going to be looking, I think, for more. My guess is this Arcade push, this trio, going to funnel the orb likely into Showstopper. Or maybe even a Rolling Thunder. We'll see what they decide.
They're still cautious about Dish because of the trip.
Yeah.
Drop the trip.
Here we go. Visa, solo entry main, rest scale up Arcade, crunch onto the players on site here yet again. This time, Kyle gets ahead of it. And the player of main has been dealt with.
And it's all Smiley here on site too, able to get two. Chloric looking for a huge 1v3. Starts it off right against Smiley, but he just had the off angle there. Spike in the hands of Chloric. He's not going to be able to cross up immediately.
10 seconds left.
Might have the lineup. 8 seconds left. Chloric, he's just going to run into sight. He might have the timing here, but held down in the middle of sight. The cross up happens here for Adder. He had maybe a bit too much of a moment there to maybe react. The kill is there, of course.
And they fend Maryville off of a 12. Maybe we're going to see a familiar run. The Maryville attempted over on Pearl when an 11th is reached. It's like a kryptonite of a 12th round. But aside from that, that was like a literal photocopy, right, of the Maryville pistol, right? But this time, it felt like Ambrosia addressed every single player, right? Beforehand, player Heaven, I think it was Adder, didn't win the fight against Renz. Beforehand, Giza gets 3 on the main entry. And this time, Smiley counters it. So I talked about, okay, we weren't seeing a lot of creative adaptation. That was clean. And sometimes, again, FPS. Fairly. Sometimes aim is going to make a difference. And you won your duels that go around. So 6 more. Maybe 5 before we start coming. Hope. Urza and Adder says, I don't want any of this Heaven fight, right? The pair match out and ready. We'll see how it poses.
Yeah, he throws down that net. He's going to be able to help out all of his teammates here.
Spawn?
Adder, no way, no way. It's going to be a quick interaction here over towards Spawn, but that's huge from Giza. Giza does take away Satellite, but like you said, the trade is there. But here comes the wrap. Smiley spots 2. They can't do much with it. They're going to be caught deep into A main. Can Renz get an angle on either one of the two? It's not going to happen against Glyph. Glyph wants the cross. Do they have a smoke for it? He's waiting for that opportunity. There's more than enough time for Maryville to kind of reposition here to slowly work out this A site. And they do find the one they wanted. They got Glyph. Screwface is gone. And the drama is being cut down. Good stuff from Maryville.
We talked about mid-round calling the speed of execution. That's probably as fast as it gets, right? What started as maybe a B attempt, right? When your player main falls to that showstopper, pivots into, wait, we have 2 players in spawn. Let's just dip out of arcade and go A. And it works. Like, that is, like, again, how colorful of a strat book it is right now. Like, this moment, them realizing, wait a minute, we can't have our double-pronged B exec. And, I mean, the follow-up, and again, the awareness that Adder could have followed through. Chloric, cherry on top. Map, point for Maryville on their pick. Split starting to come into the foresight. What is left in the take for Ambrosia? Trying to replicate the Renz B main exec? And, I mean, Maryville's aware. They said, this is our strat. What are you doing? Oh my goodness. No.
Yeah, I love the fact that Geese is on a Senti here. And he's still doing fine. He's still looking like a duelist.
What?
Satellite still gets the frag somehow. Satellite gets another one. Has a couple more to go. The frag isn't going to do much. Yeah, I hate to see it. That was a chance, to say the very least. What?
Yeah.
Just press mouse one. Just do it. Why not?
Yeah, there was some seesaw action, but tips in the favor of Maryville. Adder, 1v3. Utilizing Annihilation already.
Seesaw action?
Can you do, right? Can you be the heavyweight that tips it back in your favor? I mean, you're stunned. It's... Oh? No!
No way.
They're getting bullied at this point.
Oh, goodness gracious. A bit of a falter, to say the very least, at the end for your players from Ambrosia. But Maryville University ends it the way they started. They looked confident throughout map number 2. They have looked confident for the last hour and a half here on stream. And it works out for a map number 2 victory.
I mean, from an 11-13 loss to a 13-5 dominant streak after your 1-11 comeback failed the last map. Again, I mean, it's a best of 5, and if Ambrosia's already looking tired after map 2, it's going to be a very difficult journey ahead of them. I mean, Liz toyed with the leaks of the green room chitter, where I was saying my preds for Ambrosia, but if the first 2 maps didn't go their way, this could lean towards Maryville in the end. And right now, that does seem to be what we're trending towards.
Yeah, again, hard to really say that there was a single player to really shine out there for Ambrosia or to
for
really,
Ambrosia.
For Ambrosia, yeah. No, but Giza, oh my God, absolutely. Put his jersey in the rafters at this point already over at St. Clair. Smiley is trying to do the same thing, but my goodness, my goodness. What a map again from Giza, but realistically, again, Giza was going to be there, pick up the scraps, as that was really the only thing he needed to do. The entries were there for the rest of the team, discombobulated positionings at best, and was able to kind of capitalize being in the middle of the pack for the attack. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be moving on to yet another break. Map number 3 is going to be coming up in just a little bit. Enjoy the sweet sounds of the desks when we come back.
I feel like in open tournaments, even teams that are, you know, more inexperienced and haven't been together as long are all like clawing to be the best team and to win. I feel like the energy is like everybody's trying to be the absolute best. So that is something I feel is a little bit different than Game Changers, because there isn't a lot of Game Changers teams at the moment. So it's hard to field that kind of competitive environment when there's just so few teams right now. So playing in open tournaments, I feel like we kind of get that sort of push for us to be even more competitive and for us to try even harder against these teams who are also trying just as hard. I feel like this This is not a diss to Floor, because obviously Floor is just the best Game Changers player to exist. But I feel like we're more well-rounded as a team because it's not solely focused on setting up Floor now, where it's more so everyone on the team has an opportunity to pop off. Obviously Karn is insane, and she's still a pop-off duelist for sure. But I think it made everybody else think, okay, I need to step up and I need to be able to, you know, frag out a bit more to fill Floor's shoes, essentially. To be in Challengers, it feels like my entire career and my team's entire career, I've kind of led up to this. It feels like this is always what we've been working towards. So honestly, at first it was a little anticlimactic because it was like, oh, well, we did it. Now what? So to be able to compete in these matches and play against better competition, it's honestly really fun more than anything, but also it is like a breath of fresh air to be able to play against new players and new teams and all that. Honestly, my only expectation for us is for us to do our best, and if we do that, then I'm happy, to be honest. I'm not going to set a super high goal or expectation. I just want us to do our best, to be honest.